Hello everybody. Time again to do a retro CSS Battle Challenge. These are from July of 2023. This is the 13th and the 14th and the 15th. So let's do them. Let's do them. I don't think I want to do an element on this one. It's pretty straightforward. I don't think we need a margin. I think we can do this with two gradients. A radial gradient that's transparent on the inside. So we need circle, circle, transparent. Call it 25%, and the color. That gives us the start. Let's see if we can get that number to be right. 30, 31, 32. 32. And then the next thing we need, and I guess it doesn't, the order doesn't really matter for us here. And we've got choices. Okay, so we need stripes, right? So I'm gonna do that on top of this linear gradient. And it's gonna start at transparent. Go to blue. So right now what we're seeing is we're starting at transparent and going downward. So this is all from the top. We need to set the angle of that. So let's give it some values here, and then let's change the angle. Actually, let's make that 150, and then 45 degrees. No, it's not. That doesn't show us anything. How about minus 45 degrees? How about 2? There we go. So now we have a little bit of a something there. So I think what we want is 135, 35. There we go. So here's our start. 210, 220, 21, 22, 23, 24. How about a percentage? 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. 45. Actually looks not too bad. So we're going to need how many of those stripes? We're going to need several of those stripes. So we transparent, and then blue, and then transparent, and then blue. So like so, like so. A third, and then the final transparent. So is that what we need? Transparent? Okay, and then we need commas all along. Obviously these numbers are all wrong. So let's remove all of those. And those should give us kind of a gradient-y look. Now, setting the numbers on those will create the stripes. And it looks like 45%. So in this case, the percentage values are doing a better job than anything else would. So 48, 49, 46, 47. And if those are incrementing, that's not too bad. I'm just going to add 2 to each one of these and move along, and it seems like it's okay. Make it work until it doesn't work. 55% and 0. So not quite right, but close. Okay, so in my next step, I think what I'm noticing is that the interim stripes here are white. And I can get a little bit of a win by putting this radial gradient on top of this in terms of number of characters. So I'm going to cut this, put it on the top layer. Of course, we don't really have layers in CSS or HTML, not as such. We do have layering, but each one of these backgrounds is successively below the next. So if I do this one with transparent, I can do white, because that's the color we've got, and which is 3 characters. All right, so what's that look like? I'm pretty sure that's not 100%. It's probably something like 99.7%. Let's see. That's calling that 100%, and I think we'll take it. If I minify and unit replace, I'm not going to quibble with the fact that it says that I've accomplished the task, even though it surprises me a little bit. And that's calling me a new high score too. So I would say that there's a little bit of alignment issue there, even though it is a regular, 45, 47, 49, 51, 53, 55. Like, yeah, sure, that sounds rightish, but that's all right. In this case, was it Monopoly bank error in your favor? I'll take that. All right, next. Cut it out. You did a clip path and a background there. Let's do all backgrounds again. So we'll do the bank template and then immediately remove the elements. And I think the hard part is that cutout part. So let's do the hard part first. And I think a conic gradient appeals to me there. Yeah, conic gradient. And I'm going to do something that I haven't done really, which is pre-decide. So so here's the start. Here's the start I'm going to do. I'm going to do a conic gradient with both colors set, right? And then I'm going to put purple in the background. And then I'm going to set a position and a size and a no repeat. So now I would like to cover this divot part. I guess it's a, what is it? Is it the metal, the hanging metal below it. So I'm just going to move the yellow part of this over. This is going to be kind of a proxy for what we're going to need to do. Because I know that I don't quite, 55, yeah, sure, okay. And then downward. And I want to move lower than that. And the width of that needs to be a little bit different. So this is all yellow. So every part of this is going to be contained by the no repeat. So, and then I'm going to get to play and make a conic gradient that is the shape of that angle going downward. It may not work. 80, 90, there it is. Okay, so now I'm going to create a purple, that purple triangle. I'm going to create it out of that background. I know that's some crazy code there. So okay, what's that look like? I say I think it's at 50%, like 20 pixels. Right, and so that's that we're setting our center. And I'm gonna say from, what is that? 90 and 45, maybe 90 and 60, so 150 degrees. And I'm gonna call that transparent. And that angle is less than 90 degrees. Remembering your geometry. And then going to yellow. So we see what that's doing. And just for the purposes of getting this done and understanding, so that's what we just created. This is the crazy conic gradient. Once again, my favorite kind of gradient. We've created this odd shape, and I have totally misjudged my angles, and it looks like okay, so if I'm starting at from 150 degrees. Oh, I've done purple. So that, okay, so that percentage is wrong, 20%. I think I was thinking 80 degrees and I wrote 80%. But yeah, I can absolutely use percentages. So how about let's do 140, 41, 42, 43, 44. That's close, huh? That's pretty close. So now I'm setting that angle. So that's pretty good. I almost like it. I wish I liked it better, but you notice that it's got a little edginess where it doesn't quite align at either end, and that's no good. So the question is where to do that, right? This is a kind of a tricky one. Given the way that I've chosen to solve it. I know I can do it with a clip path. We just saw it before I put it away and started fresh. So let's presume that's good. So we did the hard part first, but we didn't quite nail it. But let's do the next part next. So radial gradient. And actually we want that below, don't we? Yeah, we do. Radial gradient. And that's a circle. And we start at purple. And we go to the yellow. And we go to purple. That's slightly at the top, slightly higher than the normal. So if I put numbers on this, so there's a ridiculous set of numbers. So it's not centered correctly. So at 50%, 20%, let's say 30, 40, that seems centered. And now we need to adjust our numbers. How about 16, 17, 18, 19? How about 50 pixels? That looks right. 50 pixels. Okay. And then 30%, 31. How about 25%? 26. Close. All right, for giggles, we will submit, even though we're definitely seeing a flutter there. That is not our favorite thing. 99.9% match indeed. So yes, that is our problem. So rather than, we're going to set this percentage. No, that's not the one we want. We want this one. So that's actually already set at 19 pixels, so I lost track of which one I was altering. I thought it was the conic gradient was below. All right, 19 pixels. So let's do it in 3 colors, and let's do it with angles. So I'm going to remove the from, and just for sanity's sake, attempt to get the colors correct. All right. So is the point where I'm setting this too high? 20, 21, 20 might be more right. So I've created 3 segments. The first yellow, and then the next the purple. And I suppose we can instead do transparent. Let's just look at it in black. Okay, and then we know it's transparent. Great. All right, so what are the numbers we need? So 50 is too much. No, it's 50. Yeah, so 40, 41, 59, 40. And then then it's 60. Very similar. If we move it up, the question is that centered correctly? And how would we determine that if it is? So what I'm looking for now is a number where the error across where the alignment is consistent. If I can get an angle that looks like it's similar across the whole line, then I'm in better shape. So yeah, here's a case where the conic gradient is a little harder to manage, just slightly harder to deal with. So let's try .39, .1, .2, .3, .4, .5, .6, .7, 5. 39.75%, whatever that angle is. And so what's that going to be? Let's call it 60.25%. All right. And submit. That might be good. Let's find out. That's 100%. All right, so let's unit replace and minify. I don't think we have any units to replace. We've got a few extraneous spaces there. And see if that's a score that's acceptable, and that is a new high score. Great. So the last time I did this with lots of elements and clip paths, and this is far simpler. 2 gradients. Oh, and I guess we don't need margins, do we? No. We only need the background, and that's 2 backgrounds, and that's a nice solution to that problem. That's a nice solution. In the last one of these retros, I alluded to the fact that gradients sometimes will get a choppy appearance at some angles in some browsers, and thankfully these are nice smooth lines, so that's great. We'll take it. And then the final one from July 15th, 2023. This looks like BB-8, huh? Which is fun. I think I'm a collector of toy robots, so I appreciate this one. Color's a little odd for BB-8, but that's okay. So what do we see? We see circle, circle, circles, one flat, but this shape for sure seems like different border radii, right? We're going to need to set some border radii here on that guy. So I'm inclined, and I think this is what I did on the prior one as well, is this background is a few radial gradients, and actually, so it's 1 radial gradient, 1 linear gradient, and one radial gradient, 2 radial gradients, and then 1 linear gradient. So that's three gradients on the background, and then the element is just a solid with some border radii. Okay, so let's do that now that we've talked about it. So our first task is to put, oh, and he's just perfectly aligned right in a second at 2060. I'm going to put those margins here. And change that height. Looks like that height is more like a 50 or 60, maybe 70. 5, 6. So I'm constraining that element down to the minimum size, 5147. And now I'm going to put a border radius. Is this the hard part? But really, neither of these parts is particularly hard. So I could go either way on. And I'm using percentages because it's fewer characters than pixels, but we might be obliged to use those. Oh, so interestingly, at the percentage base numbers, I forgot this. So I don't know that I know how to control it, but those percentages are based on the height and width. And if it's not a square, then those don't have the same effect as like 20 pixels, which is a more regular number. And so you're going to get the same effect on either side. So with 2 numbers, you can have that tighter control, but really we need the pixel-based or a regular unit-based number. So 20 pixels to start, and then 5 pixels. And make sure not to miss all the px. Okay, so 30, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 45, 45. So 45 looks right, and that's fine. How about 10? All right, so there we got the head of BB-8. That's a nice happy little shape. All right, next. Our background is not that color. Okay, next. We can go in to out or out to in. Which is better? Let's do out to in. So the first thing we need to do is set the top color. So let's do our linear gradient from top to bottom. And I'm going to set the yellow in the background for our contrast. Is it 50%? No. 45%. 44, 43, 42, 43, 44, 43, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. So that's dead on, and that's not a great number. Probably we're going to do better with 130 pixels or something. Yeah, that looks right. So that's fewer characters and does what we want. So the next gradient we would like, and we're going out to in. So we've done this line, and the next line, next thing we do is this circle. So radial gradient. And in this case, the inner, so we want circle, circle, transparent. We'll call it 40%. And then the red, too big. And we might be centered incorrectly. So we might need an at, so that's at. So I'm trying to do this with percentages. Whether that's a mistake, I don't know. 7. All right, that's close. 25, 26, 55, 56, 57. I think that vertical number needs to be something more concrete. There, that looks good. 27, 28, 25. No. There it is. So that's our second part of the shape. So again, our linear gradient covers the block, and then the last is this little ring, also a radial gradient, a small one. And we can't, because they don't have the same centers, right? They can't all be in the same. These two can't be in the same radial gradient. There's no way to specify a subpart of the radial gradient center in a different way. And that's totally acceptable. It would be hard to reason about something like that. So yellow in the middle, and then the red. Don't forget your commas, and then yellow again. All right, so now we get a little bit of a three-dimensional effect inadvertently because of the gradient. Once we put hard lines in there, as we get a more graphic look. And that number needs to be much smaller if I'm going to try to use percentages on it. Okay, so there's that, and again we need to, because these are the sizes of these, the size of the background is the whole body, which means that a percentage-based number is determined by that, and then the centering is going to be in the dead center, so we're obliged to do it an at. And I'll keep trying percentages, even though they're not really working. 65. That looks dead on. We'll take that. Percentage is less characters than px, so that's why I do it. All right, so 6, 7, and then 0, 10%, 0. How about 9, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 11. All right, so I think that's wrong, but we're gonna, yeah. So that's I can't submit that. That's no good. All right, so I think that this number is no good. So what is that? What's the radius there? 30 pixels. Yeah, that's 30 pixels. And then is that going to be some other even number like 20 pixels? Yeah, probably. So anything extraneous, that's extraneous. We have that in the background and it's not doing anything. All the rest of this is doing good work. We're going to submit and see if we get that 100%, and if we did, then we are good to go. All right, so we minify and unit replace, look for any additional spaces. I don't see any, and we submit, and we got it, I think. That was fun. Fun to revisit these, and yeah, that's a new high score. That's great. Prior high score was 624, so that's a slightly more efficient, probably because of more carefully and thoughtfully using percentages, which also have this other side effect of percentages don't count against you for white space, because percentage is so unambiguous that you can minify it down, and the browser says, "Oh, yeah, that's clearly that's the unit," and the next thing is not part of the unit. For anything else, that doesn't work. So these ats can be right against each other. That's pretty nice. All right, thanks for watching. That's it.